I am sick of hearing about gurus, and I'll tell you why in this episode of the Sub2 Deals Show. Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Sub2 Deals Show, where we talk about all things subject to. Now, occasionally we do talk about other real estate investing topics, but it's always something to help you with your real estate investing business. Gosh, today we're talking about gurus, and I'll tell you, everybody, it seems like, that has a workshop or a course or some kind of training to sell you has at least one dig at gurus and their marketing. Their videos are talking about, yeah, the gurus do this or do that. So what is the definition of a guru? Well, Webster says a guru is an influential teacher or popular expert, or a person that is generally recognized as a leader or teacher. Now, it seems strange to me that the ones that do the most bashing, by Webster's definition, are the ones that really want to be a guru. So what's the problem? Okay. Is it because the current gurus aren't good enough, or maybe they're full of crap, or whatever it may be? I don't really know. I don't think there's anything wrong with being a guru, at least by Webster's definition, an influential teacher or a popular expert. It sounds totally respectable, to me, and nothing wrong at all. I'll tell you, I've been investing for over 25 years. I bought my first house in the summer of 1999. I've been teaching, I started teaching about 3 years after that, so over 22 years now. And you'd be hard pressed to find many people around that have been doing it longer than I've been doing it. Most of them are dead, because when I got started, they were old. Most of those guys look the same, and then most of them are pretty old. And there are a few, but most of the people have come along since the last real estate boom. We all know that. I've been called guru a few times over the years. I've got to tell you, I've never been very comfortable with it. I've always just considered myself a real estate investor who's been successful and who teaches other people how to do the things that I do and achieve some of the success that I've achieved. I'll tell you, the main thing with gurus today is marketing. Okay, if you're a better marketer, you're better known, you sell more, you do more. It doesn't mean your education or the material that you deliver is any better. There are a million teachers. I joke all the time that there are 3 real estate influencers or gurus, whatever you want to call them, for every man, woman, and child in the U.S. right now. I mean, they're just everywhere. I'm a huge fan of marketing. Unfortunately, I'm not a very good marketer. In fact, I follow Frank Kern a good bit because I really like his style. It's really laid back. It's really, while I'm sure he does things to influence you on a subliminal way, he doesn't make it sound as, I don't know, as sleazy as some of the guys do. But recently I watched a video of his where he was talking about branding yourself and delivering your message. And it really made me think about what my message is to people and what I really want to get across to them, in addition to teaching practical, real world, ethical real estate investing, which is what I try to do. Everyone doesn't agree with some of the things that I teach. For example, I did a event with William Bronchick a few months back, and he's an attorney, and he's been investing for a few years longer than me. He's closed deals for himself and for countless clients. He's got more experience than I do. Plus, he looks at things from the legal side. We disagree on a few things. If you follow me, you know that one of the things that I talk about a lot is self-closing. And we've got, courses on that, how to do it yourself. There are other people out there as well that have courses on doing your own title work, preparing your own deeds, and that sort of thing. Is that for everyone? Well, no. It depends on your risk tolerance. It depends on your experience level and some other stuff. But can you do it? You bet. Is it illegal? Not at all. You can do it. At our event, he said he never recommended doing that. Well, why? Because people make mistakes, because he's an attorney and he charges for doing that. There are a lot of reasons for that. But back to delivering my message, I decided I wanted to try to do a better job and talk about some of the things that I think are important for people to understand. I'm sort of an accidental teacher of real estate investing. I didn't start out thinking about a course or thinking about training. I just wanted to learn as much as I could to be the best real estate investor that I could. Back when I got started, we didn't have social media. The internet wasn't that old. People were a lot different than they are today. We didn't have things like offer blasters. We didn't have any of the software products that people have today. When we went out, driving for dollars today means that you probably have an app where you can map where you're going. Today, I've got a couple of apps on my phone right now. If I'm driving around and I see a vacant house, I can pull over and pull that house up, and within seconds have a whole mailing sequence fired up to start postcards to start going to the owner of that property at their current mailing address and have all the stats and figures. When I got started, driving for dollars meant you had a legal pad next to you and you took down addresses. And, once a week or so, you got out of the tax office, you would look up all those addresses, hopefully get an updated a mailing address for the person that owned that property and go home and hand address and write letters. Things were a lot different. They were a ton different than they are today. Most of what we learned was through paper courses. We didn't have video training and all of those things. So things were a lot different there. You ordered a course or you bought it at an event and you went home and you read that thing. Listen, the way we found out stuff on the internet was chat rooms. We would get inside of a chat room and read questions and answers and type out a question and sit there and wait for maybe somebody to answer it if it was urgent. Hey, I got a hot deal. What should I do about this? What should I do about that? Things were just a ton different. If you'd been in a group for a while, you knew who the heavy hitters were, the big dogs, the people that were doing stuff, and you just prayed every time that you typed a question out that one of those guys would respond to your question. We didn't have instant messengers. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have Zoom meetings, StreamYard, YouTube. We didn't have any of that stuff that you guys have today. There were gurus at the time, but there really weren't but a few, and they all looked the same. They spoke from the stage. They wore suits. They sold you at the back of the room, and that was pretty much how things worked. I was one of the lucky people, I guess is what they called it. I bought my course. I did what the course told me to. I went out and I started buying houses. And I'll tell you, anybody listening to this or watching this today can be lucky. All you have to do is find a course from a guru and do what they say. Now, if they actually do what they teach, and that's tricky, and you follow their instructions, you'll be successful. I have 100% certainty in that if you do what they say on a consistent basis, if it's a proven thing, they've done it consistently, you're dealing with somebody that's been in the business longer than 6 months, you're probably going to be successful. That's a pretty good chance. But I was lucky. Within a year, I quit my job. And as a result, I was bombarded with emails daily. If I went to an event, people would surround me because real estate investing was a smaller group at the time. People knew everybody knew everybody that was doing anything. So I was overwhelmed with emails and phone calls have had my phone number. How did you do this? How did you do that? What can you do? And for a couple of years, I tried to help people. I tried to answer all their emails, answer all their questions. I'd stand in a corner at events and answer questions until I was hoarse. And then at one event, I had a couple of friends who were already teaching, and they said, "You just need to write a course." And I thought, gosh, man, I just don't think that's possible. If you know my story, I quit school in ninth grade. So I may not be the smartest person around, but I knew how to buy houses. I knew what to do. I knew how to generate leads. I knew how to close deals. And I also, because I didn't try to make things super complicated, I needed for things to be simple. I made it simple for people to learn. So, Frank Kern, I mentioned him earlier. He has a quote that I like to use a lot. He says, "If you want to try to impress people, you make it sound really complicated. If you want to try to help them, you keep things really simple." So that's what I've always tried to do, either through necessity or because I thought it would help. Either one, it both works. So we keep things pretty simple in how we teach. In writing that course, I really discovered, by the time I did that, I'd been investing for 3 or 4 years. So I knew more than when I got started. When I got started, I thought I wanted to make just a ton of money. That was what it was all about. In my mind, making money, real estate investing was a way to make money. But I soon learned that wasn't really what it was all about. So, and I would say to most people out there, when you get started, you think that's what you're doing. You think you're doing real estate to make money. But the truth is, you're doing it for freedom. You're doing it for time freedom. When I was in the restaurant business, I worked 70 hours a week, and I missed kids' soccer games and school functions and everything else. Holidays, we worked a lot because if you go out, that's a busy time of the year. For restaurants, people, are having family in town, and they may cook a big meal for Thanksgiving or Christmas, but the night before and the day after and things like that, it's a super busy time. So we worked a whole bunch, but the freedom to be able to take those days off, to take that time off. And I'll tell you, for years now, I have worked very little from the middle of November until the first of the year, because I had to work so much back when I had that job. Of course, money is one consideration. Money freedom is what I call it. And somebody asked me for the definition of that. And I'll tell you, the best thing that I've come up with so far is money freedom means you have the ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, without having to ask money's permission. And I'll tell you, nothing feels like being able to provide, not having to say no to your wife, to your kids, when they want or need something. When you reach that place where you can give them the things they want and need without having to say, "We don't have the money for that," your life's going to change. I mean, it just in a really big way. Never having to say, "We can't afford it." Now, if you're broke, you probably think there'll never be enough money. But I'm going to tell you, you don't need $1 billion to be able to live that kind of lifestyle. Never having to say, "We can't afford it." Part of the journey of investing is learning to be a good manager of what you have. And I think that's a really key element in being a successful investor, is learning to better manage what you have. Luckily for me, that was part of my journey. I think a lot of people today tend to skip over that. You see that in cases where some of these people come in and make massive amounts of money very quickly because of the market that we've had for the last few years. But then, and I know, because I deal with these people that are flipping, 10 deals a month or doing whatever, but then they have to go out and look for money to do their next deal because they don't manage very well. And I'm not saying you can't be a successful investor and drive a Lamborghini. Hey, listen, if that's your thing, then you be you. But if you're doing that and you don't have enough money to do your next deal without finding somebody to fund it, then there's a disconnect. You've got to manage what you've got very well before you move on to the next level. And I know there's going to be some people that disagree with me on that, and that's okay. Everybody didn't have to agree with me. And if you don't, that's all right too. But I just think that's a slippery slope because the music can stop anytime. And the ones of us that have been around in 2007, 2008, we understand how that works. And if you've just gotten started here in the last 5 years, 10 years, you don't really know. But that's one reason I tell people right now, if you do rehabs, that's great. But I wouldn't have five of them going on right now. Okay. Because especially with some of the margins that I see some of these guys take rehabs on with, I saw a very well-respected teacher a couple of months ago teach a webinar and show an example of a $200,000 house with a projected $25,000 profit on a rehab. There's just no way that I would even attempt to do that. And we see that in the MLS here right now. One of the things that we do now is target high days on market listings. And I'll tell you, when I went through them this week, there are some investors that are really getting taken to the cleaners. And it's obvious because all you have to do is click a few buttons and you see what they bought it for. You see the pictures of it when it was listed before. You see what they're selling it for now. You see how long it's been on the market. You see their price reductions. And some of them are at the bottom of where they can be and still not lose money. And it's not like there was one in almost 4,000 listings in Northwest Arkansas. There were several that are like that. And I don't want you to be in that position. So when I talk about, this is what I tell my students all the time, when I talk about dealing in certainty, I heard somebody say the other day, I deal in probabilities, not possibilities. Listen, I deal in certainty. And that's the only way to go. So certainty is what we're looking for. You don't have to be a jack of all trades, and it's probably not best that you are. My idea has always been that when you're getting started, especially to avoid overwhelm, you get really good at one thing. Okay. And when you've got that nailed down, it's just like being a juggler. You see these guys, how they teach you to juggle. You've got one ball, you've got two, then you've got three. And it's the same thing with real estate investing. You need to really be good at something before you're trying to do 4 or 5 things. That just never works out. And I have to tell myself, listen, I know what it's like. I know what it's like to want to do everything. I know what it's like to open up your browser and see somebody talking about this new thing and hey, that really looks interesting. I think I want to do that. Jody and I just had a conversation about that this past week. She says, hey, I think I want to try this. I had a guy on a podcast that had a really interesting take on something that's becoming popular right now. And I said, well, why don't we just wait for just a little bit before we move over into that? We got a few things we're trying to do right now that are a little bit different. So listen, we all struggle with it. But if you can be disciplined, if you can be focused for a little while, it'll make moving to that next thing so much easier and stress-free. It really will. I would say be careful who you listen to. Remember, we talked a little bit earlier. There are influencers who exist purely to sell a product or to, influence. Well, that's what they're called. So that's what they do. And then there are actual teachers, and some influencers are horrible teachers. They sell a lot of products, but they're not a good teacher. Some teachers aren't the best teacher, and that's the way people tend to listen to the BS of the influencer and ignore the teacher. It's really sad. Don't let that be you. When you're choosing who to follow, look for time in the trenches. Do a little bit of checking. Don't get caught up in the hype. Jody and I joke a lot about if I say, hey, I'm going to watch this webinar today. I think this looks interesting. And it doesn't matter whether it's on marketing, your business, whether it's on real estate investing. So we joke and she'll say, well, you're not buying anything today, are you? Oh no, I'm not buying anything. So don't rush into that sort of thing. I say a lot. I'm going to sleep on that because if it's a good idea today, it'll probably still be a good idea tomorrow. Um, you can do real estate investing, but it is going to take work, effort, tenacity, the dirty words. Yeah. I actually, because we hire coaches all the time too, whether it's a new technique we're looking at, whether it's something in our marketing for our coaching business or consulting. And I actually had a marketing coach a couple of years ago tell me that I could not use the word study, learn, or work in my marketing because if you do that, people click off your page and they don't buy your product. They don't want anything that's going to make them have to put forth effort. And if that's where you are or who you are, real estate investing is probably not going to work for you because it will take work. It will take effort, especially in the beginning. And this is an example of how you're manipulated in the marketplace. Real estate investing is so rewarding. Uh, it's taken a guy that had a ninth grade education, and I'll tell you, by all signs, any clues out there. I mean, I would have lived a life of, if not poverty, at least a low class of living. And real estate investing alone is what made the difference for me. It will let you build an incredible amount of wealth. Gurus can help you do that. So, just remember, it really is just a matter of paying attention, being careful in who you select to teach you, and then doing exactly what they tell you to do. Real estate investing is really simple. It's not easy. It's really simple. You don't have to do 1,000 deals a year to be successful. I've never been a teach somebody on a large scale sort of thing. Number one, I don't do it. If I told you, listen, I bought 5,000 houses last year. I rehabbed 1,000 houses last year. That's total BS. I don't do it. I don't buy in that volume. The most that I've ever done was 3 to 5 houses a month, and I did that for about 10 years. It was a lot of work. These days, we're looking for one and a half deals a month, period. That's it. And I'm guessing that most people that get started in real estate investing, 6 really good deals a year would be absolutely life-changing for them. And that is so, so doable. If you've got the foundation, if you do some things consistently, that is, I say easy, it's very simple to do. You can absolutely do that. You can do it while you're working 70 hours a week. I know because I did it. I bought 24 houses my first year as an investor, and I worked 70 hours a week doing it. Now, man, I was a machine. I slept about 4 hours a night, but I laid the groundwork for what would become a really good and simple life. I mean, I work a couple hours a day now at most, and get to do things most people only dream of. So real estate investing is great. I guess we're a little off the topic of the original beginning of this thing. I'm tired of talking about gurus. Gurus don't matter. Most of the people that do most of the talking about gurus want to be one. Look for a teacher. Look for someone that does what you want to do and has done it for more than 30 minutes. And chances are, if you follow what they tell you, you'll be successful. You won't be one of the 3%. You won't be one of the 97%. Statistically, and we all know this as teachers, only 3% of the people that buy a course will ever buy a house. But I don't want you to be that number. I want you to be successful. I want you to be more than the 97% that just said, this stuff don't work. I'm out. I'm just going to find a side hustle or just keep working at the asbestos plant. I want you to be successful in what you do. So let me know below how I can help. Let me know some topics that you're looking for. Where are you stuck in your real estate investing? What is keeping you from being successful? What is causing you to keep saying no to your dream? I don't think most people want to be tremendously wealthy. I think most people want to live an enjoyable life and spend time with their family, and be able to take their wife on a nice vacation a couple of times a year, and make sure their kids can go to college if that's what they want to do. And real estate investing can certainly provide that for you. So let me know below how I can help. And hope you guys are having a fantastic week, that you're talking to sellers, buying some houses. We'll see you next time.